Hello, everybody out there in the internet. It is Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. I'm Chris Adams, joined by.
Buff Larkin. Oh, the time has come for another session of Buff and Tekken Save the Universe. And
It's Tekken and Buff Save the Universe. Also, it's episode number 59 for those keeping
listen,
track.
listen, just because I betrayed you, quote unquote, betrayed you in Fall Guys, doesn't mean I can't put my name in front of it. Buff and Tekken Save the Universe. That's how it is. That's it. You can hear the growl. Fine, Tech. See, as a nice person that I will let you have Tekken and Buff save the universe. How's that? Does that sound better?
Well, obviously, it sounds better.
Oh, of course, of course. Perfect. Anyways, now that we've started our strife, and by the way, I did not betray you on Fall Guys. I threw a bomb at somebody. They walked away,
They
and
walked
you got
away. They
they
walked.
walked
They don't
away.
walk away, Buff. You either miss
You
or you did
sure
it on
did. After you
purpose.
got blew up, you walked away from that. It's like those movies when there's an explosion and the cool guys are just walking away from the explosion. That's what that guy did.
Oh, please.
He's so cool. He walked away. That's good. Anyways, let's get back to talking about life. And we're here just to talk about video games and a little bit of wrestling and maybe even a comic book here or there. So, good Sir Tech, and as we always start every single podcast for the most part, what have you been
I'm
playing?
pretty sure this isn't how we start. It's usually like you on some spiel or anecdote or whatever, and you're just like, "Oh, Tekken, let me tell you the story," or like, "Yeah." Anyway, I almost did a whole like, man, I almost channeled Adam Cole, and I was like, "It's time for story time with Buff 74, baby." Anywho,
I do that?
no, you don't.
Oh,
You don't do that
okay.
part, but you do the whole like, oh, dude, this thing. Oh, whatever. See, if I do it, it's like me talking, and that's not how you sound. Because I'm gonna do like me doing you, and or me talking as you, and it sounds all weird. And it's like that's not how it goes, Tekken. And it's like, yeah, well, sorry, that's how I talk. So that's there. You're gonna get the whole Tekken vibe, juices and whatever when I'm the Tekken flavor when I'm pouring it out of the bottle of like what you sound like.
100% Tekken out the pulp. Pulp free Tekken. Absolutely. Pour it out of the bottle. Take a drink. Take a drink, everybody. You'll be refreshed.
Okay.
Get your vitamin T, 100% vitamin T with each glass. Absolutely.
Um, So I guess I'll just go with like what. Okay, so when you say what I've been playing, like what I've been playing lately or since the last episode, those are two different things.
I would say, what have you been playing lately?
All
Because
right.
our last episode was 3 years ago, so we don't have 3 hours for you to go through. But I'm in all seriousness, what have you been playing lately? What has really turned Tekken on?
The only real thing I've been playing lately is, I mean, there is like more than one game, but like the main thing, the main thrust, the meat, if you will, the guts, is Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. It's really good, and I almost got burnt out on it, but then I got reinvigorated when I was like, I probably should stop grinding for something and just like do the hunts either in order or like mix it up, and it did help the monotony or just like the mundane aspect of when you're grinding for something and you just want to get the drop and you're not getting the drop. But then it was like worse than this one because like I was just grinding for XP, so it's like I didn't even like need anything or want anything. I just was like I needed to get to like the next thing, but to get the next thing I had to like get leveled up and do a bunch of crap over and over and over. But there's like the one thing I could do that had like the most XP, and I was like, oh, I'll just do this over and over. And it just got so like, ugh, and I was like, this is not a fun time. But then I got over the hump, and I was like, okay, I'm not doing that again. I'm just gonna mix it up and just slow and steady it, tortoise style, and like do all their stuff I need to do. And that was a much better. That worked out a lot better than grinding my face off Destiny
So,
style, which I'm used to.
somebody, so first of all, if somebody's grinding your face off, good for you. Second of all, second of all, then Tinder's working for you. Second of all, is that somebody posted on Gap about how people are getting that adult gamers aren't are gaming as much anymore. do you feel that since you had this big complaint about grinding, that you are starting to have that kind of idea
No,
that
no, 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 no,
you're
no,
feeling that it's a waste of your time
no,
now that you could be doing more things?
no. I think that's very. I didn't read that article, but it's like I think it's very dependent on the type of game you're playing. But no, to answer the question, no. The answer is no. If anything, I'm playing more games right now, so it's like
You're the
or I'm trying to play more games.
you're the exception to the rule.
But then
Is
it's
what
like
you're saying.
the thing. Okay, the last long process of like eras was like on PS4. I was like, okay, it I had to figure out like one game at a time, and then like on that one I was taking it nice and slow, and I was like, I will just buy a game, and then like if there's something else out, I'll just wait for it to drop in price, and then like unless it's something I really really want, I'm not gonna worry about getting it like day one, and I'll just get it like eventually when it's like half off because F it, it's not like I have to have it day one, so it's like yeah, that's basically like what I do is like it's depending on what the game is and how much I want it, I'm either gonna get it when it first comes out, or I'm just gonna wait for it to be half off because well unless it's like super duper awesome and the reviews are like, oh man, this game's. But then like don't even like worry about it. Like reviews are like that. Like that's like the wrong way to like look at it. It's like, oh, the reviews good. Cause it's like that's 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 the old way. That's the old and like wrong way to think about it. The way to think about it is what type of games do I like, and is this like the things I like, and how good is it compared to those things? Cause that's the new nuanced way I think we should approach things and not be like, oh, well, is it a 10? Is it a 9? Is it a 10? Is it 9? Because what's a 9 or a 10 for someone is not a 9 and 10 for you. So just like, don't worry about the reviews. And then what you can do with the reviews is be like, well, what are the positives and negatives? And the pros and cons. And weigh it. And be like, what does this game do? What does it not do? What does it do that I like? What does it do that I don't like? And then take that information and make a decision and not be like, oh, is it a 9? Is it a 10? Yeah. Because that's not the way to. That, in my opinion, that's the wrong way to do it.
So, how would you review a video game if you were a reviewer with that kind of mentality?
What do you mean?
How would you approach reviewing a video game if you were a video game reviewer, where you have the mindset, and it's the correct mindset, I'll give you that, that uh, it might be a 10, but only for certain people. It might be less than that to other people.
Oh,
What would you, when you come to review a
I already
game?
thought about that. Like, basically, what I would do is I would throw out the score because scores are stupid, and I would
Yeah.
say pros and cons. Here are the pros. Here are the cons. And it's like if you like X Y Z, it's like this. It's or if you like X Y Z, it's like X Y Z, but this is the spin that it puts on X Y Z, and then that's how I would do it. So
So
it's
say
like
you,
So it's like okay, an example would be FN like Call of Duty comes out every year. So it's like okay,
yeah.
this is just Call of Duty again, and like this is what this version is. Or like FN, don't say like too much about the story or like the narrative to like not give anything away. Just be like you can still like talk about the like whatever the stuff that's like oh the graphics are amazing or like whatever's like whatever scratches the itch or like moves the needle is just like just like lean into like that as far as like oh this was impressive and anything that's bad or not be like this was crap and be like have the review basically be the highs and lows or the pros and the cons and then that's the review of like oh this is what this game is and like the premise and like mechanics gameplay because it's like ultimately that's what you're going to be interacting with like for the vast majority of like when you're playing it is like just playing the game so it's like what are the gameplay systems what's the gameplay like and then don't go too into the story of the characters and just like leave that for the person to like discover and then like if links to issues be like here's how long this game is or how long it took me to finish it or if price is issued be like oh this game is $70 because PlayStation likes to charge $70 for the first party games because they're garbage. I mean they're not garbage but they're a-holes but
Well, somebody's not getting a free video game from Sony.
and then so it's like you just take the pros and the cons the highs and the lows and then it's like you compare you pick you have a very like you talk about the premise and then like you kind of give an idea of like what genre or like what is it similar to but then it's like no games are like exactly the same or like a one-to-one like copy I mean unless it's like a sequel that's like oh it's just the same like like sports games are like Call of Duty where it's like oh it's just the same game as last year with like whatever added in or this is different it's like you can like like XCOM and Midnight Suns or like Far Cry and Crisis or effing Horizon, or I wouldn't say Horizon Zelda, but like it's just stuff like within the same genre or like similar aspects of like, is it open world? Is it first person? Is it adventure? Is it puzzle? Is it a fighting game? Like Street Fighter. Well, you wouldn't compare Street Fighter to because it's 2D and 3D, but you could, I guess. But like I wouldn't. But it's like I would compare. I guess you compare like Street Fighter to pure Street Fighters or like other 2D games, but like, like anyway, that's whatever. That's what I'm saying is like you wouldn't like Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, but you wouldn't compare Gran Turismo, Need for Speed like Gran Turismo and Forza, or Gran Turismo is like whatever sim racer you want to compare it to, and just be like, oh yeah, it's just like something like that, and then you have an idea of like, this is the type of game this is, and these are the good parts, these are the bad parts. If you don't like this, then you should probably stay away. If you really like this, or you like this aspect of it, or like the good parts of it, you're probably going to have a good time. And there are some people that like everything and don't really care, so it's like it doesn't really matter. Tropical, so you can just play whatever and like not care anyway. So whatever.
So, since you were talking about every game kind of is based on another one, somewhere along the way, and it's true. Like in books, there's only 7 stories in the English language to be told. For you, what was the last original game that was something different and unique that you hadn't played before? You play
Ooh,
a lot of
that's a good
games.
one. That's the thing is like you could there are exceptions, right? Because like I would say
Yeah.
Portal was probably like the last like truly like that was amazing, like just like unique and ingenious, or stuff like that in like Res or any like music rhythm game. Because like music rhythm is like there's a lot of like room to like do stuff with that, where it's not just like DDR of like push up, push down at the same time as the thing tells you to. It's like there's a lot of like space there to like do stuff like Parappa the Rapper and like Jammer Lammy. Those games are similar, but they're not the same. And then it's like that compared to like Amplitude or like Guitar Hero or like whatever Rock Band, like those are in like the same like I said, they're in like the same space of like genre of like music rhythm, but they're not all the same. Or they're like there's similar stuff, but they're different. So you'd have to compare to like stuff that is like closer to like what they are and like not fudge up the whole like comparison thing to like get it right in the review. But then there's like stuff that's super unique because like Res is like, dude, how do you even like describe that? Because it's like a shooter, but it's a music game, and it's on rails, and it's just. I guess that's the other thing you could do is like if it is like different, just be very specific about like what the game does. Or like Portal, it's a first person puzzle game with portals, and it's like there is like a element of like what you see is what you get, or just like keep it simple stupid of like you don't have to get like super like, oh, the game is so mind blowing. It's like actually you just make portals and you move stuff around and you solve puzzles and you can go through the puzzles or through the portals, or you can put stuff in the portals, or like use them to solve puzzles. It's really cool. So it's like you'll find out when you play it, and it's like let's not get too bogged down of like, oh man, this game is so amazing and I've never played anything like this much. I mean, yeah, it's like the novelty is there, but once the novelty wears off, it's like, okay, I get what this game is doing and what it's trying to do. Because there's other games like that where like Braid was basically just like a platformer with like a time loop mechanic thing, and the other game by Jonathan Blow, I can't think of the name right. Witness. I didn't play Witness though, so it's just like making lines and like connecting lines and going through a world of like connecting lines. That's just a giant puzzle, but yeah. So like there is that aspect of like, okay, something can come along and like do something different, like be different, but it's like ultimately it is just like the sum of its parts, and you just deconstruct it of like, what does this do and like what is it. Cause like Portal, yeah, I think Portal was like probably like the last like, oh dude, that was. I mean, there's probably something else, but it's like I play so many games. It's like just like it's not. Yeah, it's like but like yeah, I would say probably Portal. There's maybe like something in VR that's like, oh, that was really cool, but it's like it's such a novelty of like here and there gone, and like you don't really see anything like it for like a long time. Of like it'll stick with you. Like Portal to me is like awesome. Like Metroid Prime is like, but then like the thing about Metroid Prime is like it's not really, doing much new. It's just like a first person, like Metroid game. So it's like it's got like the Metroid stuff, but it's first person. So it's like there's more to it than the average first person game. It just takes those mechanics and like pushes the boundaries, or like moves the genre forward, or does its own thing in that space in the first person, like as far as like first person games go. So it's like but like you said, like if all games are just like derivative of like whatever came before it, you can just say, okay, well, what are the building blocks in the game, or what's in this game's DNA that's from things that have come before that I can take to explain what this game does, or how it is, or like why you would like it, or why you should play it, or why you should stay away, or like just take the pros and cons, like I said, and then bloop bloop bloop. If you like this, you like that, and it's like this may be like a new different type of game, but it does these things within this genre, with this type of gameplay. And if you like this type of game, you'll maybe like it. But if you don't, then stay away. Here's the pros and cons. Then that's what I would do.
Okay. Well, that was a nice little tangent, that's for sure. Full of rage. Very good. So, okay. So, what have you been now playing? Well, first of all, before we get into more about what you've been playing, you received a T-shirt just the other day. Can you tell us about what this great achievement was that you received?
This wasn't a great achievement. It was just the yearly Destiny shirt where it's like you do a bunch of crap in the game and you could get the shirt and it's like, oh, I did a bunch of crap in the game, and that's pretty much it. And you can get your name on it if you pay extra, which I did, or your gamer tag or whatever. So
Well, you got a nice T-shirt. That's nice. All right. So, tell us more about what you've been playing lately, and tell us about something that like what you've been playing, what has surprised you about it, and also what has disappointed you about it.
I should know Sunbreak. What surprised me, I would say, is like it is more grindy than I was expecting it to be in the in game. But then I guess looking back on the guiding land stuff, that was kind of grindy. But then it was more of a like they almost nailed it, and it's just more of a misfire. Whereas this one's just like straight up, you just gotta grind, dude. Like there's no way around it, and it's like I can't believe they just like put it so like structured it the way it is. But then like they have like multiple tiers of like, or I shouldn't say tiers, but there's like multiple parallel tracks of like you will make progress in the in game. There's just different ways to go about it because there's like the master rank. You just do master rank quests, whatever you get the rep. Um, and then high rank is high rank, but like once you get to a certain point, it's like okay, go to in game, which is master rank, and then like unless you just like tap out and you're like I'm done. So that's whatever. And then there's like this thing in the in game of master rank that they introduce where it's a weird system called like anomalies and afflicted. I haven't really got too into it just because like the systems that they introduce are kind of, I don't know, dude. I thought it was a bad idea. Like I was like, whose idea was this? Because you can't. Because normally in Monster Hunter you have, unless you're hunting an elder dragon, you have to you have the choice of capturing or killing the monster. And if you capture it, it's a lot. Well, depending on like which version of the game, it's like you can just capture it, and then it's like you don't have to fight it to the death, because that's just like more risk in the hunt of like towards the end of like someone could just get carded and then you lose, and it's like why would I do that? Whereas this one, they introduce these afflicted monsters, but you can't capture them, so you have to kill them, and then they are just like super powerful. Well, they're not super powerful, but they give them more health and more power, and it's just like they're super versions of like their base versions, which are already beefed up in the master rank of like those versions. So it's just like they're even more difficult versions of like the super juiced versions that they're based off of, and it's just like, dude, this is exhausting. Like these ones are not easy. These monsters take a lot of damage, and they don't drop easy, and it's just like, ugh. So I was just like, dude, this is tiring. And I haven't even like messed with that. I've done like 2 afflicted hunts, I think, and I was like, yeah, I'll come back to this when I have a light bow gun to just shoot stuff and kill it fast, because doing it with a longsword is quite the risk when you're just right up on a monster. But then if all their attacks are like way more powerful, it's like and then I mean I guess that was surprising, was like how mastering feels like much tougher, I feel like, in this game, where it's just like if you're not careful with your actions, it's like a couple hits and you're out. So it's like I'm surprised at how tough it is. And then I think they dropped the ball, or the thing I think they messed up on was like the fact it is so grindy. Like I don't think it should be. It's kind of made me like not enjoy it as much, because it is just so, because it takes so much time to like make so little progress. Like I only need like 10 ranks, but it takes me like a day of playing, and this is me, like a day like of playing straight on of like, if I'm not, well, okay, I should rephrase that. Like I could probably get there faster, like 5 hours maybe. But like it's 5 hours of like the same hunt that gives me like the most XP, which is just like that's not a fun time, like I said. So it's like instead of doing that, I'm just doing like a bunch of other stuff that's like gonna eventually get me over the finish line. It's just gonna take longer, but I'm like having a better quality of life because I'm like, okay, if I rotate my hunts and I just focus on different things and aspects of the game that I engage with when I play it, I'm gonna enjoy it more and have a better time versus just do the effing arena hunt with like four monsters over and over and over and over and it's like, dude, like that's not like that gets into Destiny territory of like why the f am I even playing this stupid game. It's just like it gets like it's like it's very close to like they're like you're like in the slow moving dipping mechanism to borrow from Austin Powers, and they're like lowering you onto the torture treadmill, and it says Destiny on it. It's like, wait, no, Monster Hunter, you're not. I thought you were different. You're not supposed to be this way. Just and it's like but then after you get it. I also think it's weird that they did like certain stuff with the unlocks with like the decorations and the melding. Like you don't have access to all of it at once. You have to like as you level up, you get access to more stuff to make, which was super weird to me because I was like, "Where's XYZ thingy?" And like, well, I guess it makes sense like if you can't access those monsters, but like you can access those monsters, but you're just locked out of like making the stuff with the materials. And I thought that was like a super bad idea because it's like, well, how do I know when I've unlocked everything? So it's just super confusing. But besides that, it's still the same old gameplay, so it's fun. And they have done a good job of like the whole Palicos and Palamutes. And there's a lot of cool underlying RPG systems. Like you can give your Palamutes and Palicos skills, and it actually affects their behavior in game, and like what they do, and like how powerful they are, and their armor. But the armor and weapons was like they're from the world, so that's a cool like subsystem of like giving your buddies that you can hunt with stuff. Also, oh, they did like something that's like super awesome. Is like they have like the story in Sunbreak, and like they have these characters from the kingdom, and then you end up being able to team up with them, and it's just like a cool like what if scenario of like if they made a single player game, I could see like this being how it would be if like you hunt with other NPCs on the hunts, and like they have like special dialogue and stuff, and they talk with you. But it's cool because you don't unlock it for like a really long time, and so you're spending all the time with these characters, and then like once you start getting them, you're like, am I gonna be able to hunt with XYZ? And then it's cool because like you don't just get like the expansion characters, you get the base game characters too. So you go back to Kimura, and then all the characters from there you can like hunt with too, and it's just like, dude, that is like it's cool, but like it's kind of limited because you can only do like two other NPCs, so it's like three. So three characters total, but you all get to take your Palamutes and Palicos. So it's just like a cool like hunting party situation going on, and it's just like I really enjoyed how they did that system. I thought that was like super awesome. But those are the highs and lows of like a bit too grindy, but it's still the fun game and love. But after a certain point, you might tap out because they why did they do that? I don't know. But like I'm sure if I get more into the afflicted stuff, it's like maybe better. But I haven't really messed with it too much because I was like, dude, I do not have time for this. 'Cause it took so long to like get. Yeah, it took so long to grind, and I was like, dude, I'm kind of like done with grinding. I don't want to do this anymore. So I was like, let me just come back to this when I have a better light bowgun to just shoot everything. So that's what I'm doing right now. It,
So you're maxed out on Monster Hunter, right?
no, I'm not maxed out.
Oh, okay. I saw something that on your Facebook feed that you like to share. That you somebody came a little troll or whatever it was. The elf said you hit your maximum skill or something like that. Did you? What was that all about?
What? What are you talking about?
I thought I saw something that you maxed out your skill, and I thought that was on Monster Hunter. Am I
I have no idea.
wrong on
I
that?
have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, that's
Maxed
good.
out my skill.
Yeah. All right.
Maxed out my
Well,
skill.
I'll have to look on Facebook. But while I'm looking on Facebook to yell at you, what's the next game on the agenda for you?
Oh, it's funny that you say that because whoa, what the what? As you're saying that,
What the what?
I'm on my thingy and I posted my game list.
Hmm.
So yeah, we've got. I'll just take it from the top because why the f not?
And change your Facebook. You're not happily unemployed now, so
I'll change it when I want to change it.
well, aren't you, Mister Sensitive?
Let's see. So January's Monster Hunter Rise, Forspoken. Bing Bang, those are awesome. Or those are good. February was Theater Rhythm, Final Bar Line, Destiny 2 Lightfall. Those are also good. Well, Destiny 2 can go off itself. But Theater Rhythm,
Wow.
awesome. March for Resident Evil 4 remake. I haven't got around to it still, but you know, like no, literally nobody is saying this game is bad. So it's like it's one of those like you know how do you ruin perfection? Oh, you can't unless you try really really hard. Like, you know, uh, Disney. Don't get me started. Star Wars. So yeah, that's what I meant when I said that. Sequel trilogy. April. Horizon Forbidden West. Burning Shores. That was so good. That was man.
Calm down.
That was
Calm
like
down.
that was such a delicious, delicious DLC drop of deliciousness. And that final boss, man. If you have not played it, it's only $20. Worth worth the price of admission. Because dude, it was like some old PS2, like screen filling ginormo. What the f is this thing? But it was like PS5 like graphics of just like. So yeah, it was great. It's like, oh man, I just love that series so good. I arts it so much. It's just it's such a, it was like yeah, it was a nice little like a nice little you know story build up into like what we know is gonna happen. Well, we don't know what's gonna happen in 3, but like where the story is going in 3. But it's like we don't know what's gonna happen. But then it's like they had a nice little like story, like building into like okay, well here's the plan, team Aloy and friends. This is our plan. This is what we're gonna try to do, and it might not work, but it might. But it doesn't matter because we're gonna try anyway. Because yeah, and stuff. Um, Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. I only played a bit of the first one because I wanted to like post something on Facebook about it, so I did that. But like besides that, that's you know it's just the classics, you know, just the classics. Sunbreak, which I just talked about. Live a Live, I've only played one chapter, but it's a neat, interesting game. If you like JRPGs, I'd recommend it just because it's got like, it basically like takes you know that that formula, that flavor, and has like a bunch of scenarios based off of it. It made me think about Chrono Trigger, basically, like playing the first chapter anyway. I was like, it kind of makes me think of Chrono Trigger because like Chrono Trigger, like so good at, like one of the things that was so good about that was like you know you had so many different settings in that game, like past, present, future, like far future, far present, far past, etc., etc. And then like this game kind of like takes a similar approach of like here are 8 chapters through time that we tell stories through gameplay, and I thought that was super neat. Um, I did the prehistoric chapter. I thought it was neat and it was fun and it was awesome and it's cool because it's a strategy RPG. I did not know it was a strategy RPG, so it's a turn-based strategy, tile-based RPG, and I was like, dude, this is my wheelhouse. This is my jam, and it was fun. And that's April. May I had no games, and then I was looking through the PSN store because there's so many games on sale, and then at the bottom it'll recommend you stuff or whatever, or somehow I came across some game, and I was like, what the f is this game? And it already came out, and I was like, oh okay, well F no, I added to my wish list. And then while I was like looking at other stuff like related to that game or something, I can't remember. It's like something else popped up that's coming out this month. It's called Miasma Chronicles, and I was like, oh, this looks neat. But then this game I already knew about. I just had not seen like any of like the newer gameplays, like I guess that they showed. But like, it's made by the I'm gonna blank now. I had the name before when I was thinking about it earlier, and now I'm just like, oh crap. There's a game like XCOM, but it's animals and like humans in like a post-apocalyptic like some sort of world with like I don't know. It's oh no wait, that's not it. Crap. I'll try to pull it up while I talk. But effing that type of game. It's like strategy with like weird
Hmm.
characters and neat stuff, and it looks cool. So I was like, oh okay, cool. So I added it to my wish list, and I'll probably check it out. And since it's not like a sequel or anything, it's just standalone. I can be like, oh okay, cool, whatever. So that's May. That's the only game for me. But like besides that, I want to play Resident Evil finally this month, and maybe catch up with some other stuff. And then June we got the super duper megaton biggest game, let's say, of the first half of the year, probably, possibly. Final Fantasy 16. Cannot wait. It looks amazing. I haven't watched any of the newer stuff on it because I just want to like save it for when I play it. I'm like, don't show me anything. I just want it to be a nice surprise of like what's what shows up and what's in it because I don't want to know anything at all. And then I cannot wait for that. Well, you said what am I? Wait, what was the question, Buff? What am I answering?
I think what you're asking was last question I asked was what games you're playing, and what makes you happy, and what's making you upset with the games.
That's not that's not
What
what
you
you
doing?
asked, Buff. You said something about like what is coming out. I'm looking forward to or something.
Oh yes, well that too. So what is the next game you're gonna be playing?
Oh, the next game. Okay, so
And then you talk about your sweet nectar, 100% pulp free Tekken juice.
I
Get my
didn't. That
get
was.
myself a
I have
get
never
myself a
said that
tall
in my life.
get myself a
You
tall
just made that up.
get me a tall fresh glass of Tekken. Pulp
Wow.
free.
Effing
Drink it
wow.
down.
Effing
Drink it down,
wow.
man.
That is all you right now. Just completely making that up. But
100% pulp free. I
yeah.
gotta admit you.
That's all. That's all you right now. I
100% salt
I've
free because you're salty.
I've never said anything like that in my life about me or my name or my gamer tag or
Drink
my
it.
juices in a bottle
Drink it.
or people drinking it.
Yeah, it's 100% pulp free, but celestial juices. You know, it's 100% celestial juices, but it's pulp free, baby. Pulp free. Pulp free.
I anywho,
So okay, so you're gonna play Final Fantasy 16. You're very excited about it. What? What? So do you know any of the classes yet that you could be in
I
this
don't know anything
game?
about it at all except for that it's coming out next month.
As
I don't know
a
after
role
that.
playing person, a connoisseur,
Okay, that's
do
not true.
you?
That's not true. There's stuff. The only thing I know about it is like the development team behind it is led by the main producer of 14. So Yoshinori crap. Yoshi P. I know his name is well, it's like it's not Yoshi P. His name crap. I have to look it up now because it's effing gonna bug me. But effing but I mean, he basically fixed Final Fantasy 14 and made it like awesome. And I played 14 during quarantine, and it's my favorite Final Fantasy now because it's just so effing good. And I was like, dude, I will follow this man to the ends of the earth of like what he did with that game or that series. And it's like now he gets to make a mainline one because he had to come in and save 14. But this is him making like a mainline entry in the series from the ground up with a team. And like I don't know who else is like involved as far as like his team from 14 in that one, but it's like, dude, if it's like his vision, it's going to be amazing because if you play 14, it is just like oozing with like Final Fantasy fan service and like love and appreciation and passion, and like if you're a fan, you'll love it. And it's just like, dude, if he gets to make a mainline one now, and it's just like I can't effing wait. And from what we saw from the gameplay, from like the little bit that we saw before I stopped looking at it because I was like, ooh, this is all I need to see. Because we saw like, I think there's like a couple trailers that came out before the ones that we got recently, but I haven't watched. There's some overview stuff like that. I saw it on the YouTube like the thumbnails, but I'm not like watching them. They're just like overviews of like what's in the game. But like combat wise, the game's like moving very far into Devil May Cry territory, and I love Devil May Cry. Did I say Devil May Cry 5? Devil May Cry territory, and it's like after 5, I'm like, dude, and I think they brought in like some of the people behind or that like worked on it, so it's like it should be super duper awesome sauce, and I'm looking very forward to it because of that.
Well, that's good. So
Naoki Yoshida, that's his name. Okay, I had to look it up.
okay. So here's my question to you because you seem like a nice person. You play a lot of role playing games. Would I be right to assume that?
I
Maybe
mean,
not. Maybe not as many as you used to, but
we
you
we
still play.
I
You still
I
in
don't
your day
know
you
if
played a
I
great.
don't know if I agree with that characterization. I would say that's one of the main genres I play. I don't know if I play a lot. It's not like you know
When
it's
it comes to classes, what's your favorite class to start with?
hmm. Well, it depends on the game. Like depends on like what it's offering. But like usually it's gonna be a melee centric combat. Yeah, it really depends. It depends on like what game and like what the systems are. Because it's like if it's like Western RPG and it's like I mean yeah, there's a lot of things that depend on like what it is, dude. Like it depends on like the setting and like what the classes are. Because it's like if I want to play like a ninja and there's no ninjas, I can't play a ninja, so I have to play something else. Or if it's like I want to play stealth and there's no stealth in the game, I can't play stealth. So it's like I do something else. So it's like it's very dependent on like what the game is and like what it's going for. So I can't just like say, oh, I always go for this because it's not always in the game.
Okay,
And
I
then
can do
even then,
that.
it's like I don't always feel like playing stealth. It's just that somehow like if I'm playing a stealth game, I'll play stealth. But it's like if I'm in an RPG, I'm not gonna like play. I don't always gravitate to the same classes. That being said, I do not play usually when I do play class based stuff, magic stuff, or like magic based classes. I don't like to be restricted by like MP usage, or running out of mana, or running out of MP. It's like I'll stick to like characters with like melee, usually melee, and not like ranged weaponry. But like yeah, melee weaponry and stealth if
Is
stealth
it
is an
because you're a
option.
violent man
No.
that you like smashing things?
No, it's usually because the gameplay systems aren't good, or they. Okay, okay, I shouldn't say that they're not good, but like the reason is because it depends on the game. It's like because effing in Deus Ex, I'm not gonna play melee. I'm gonna play effing well, but that's a completely different kind of worms Deus Ex because this is the problem with like RPGs is like there's so many that it's like you can't really just say, oh, what do you usually play? Because it's like it super depends on like what the game is, what's the setting, what the characters are, and like what the classes the game allows you to play are. Because it's like you can't always play the same classes, and that not every game offers the same classes. Like even Final Fantasy, like the main starting classes of the first game are like you have fighter, thief, white mage, black mage. But you don't have to play. You can switch all those characters out and just play like all fighter or all monk or all white mage or all black mage. Like you have four characters that you can put in your party, but they don't have to be all of those. Or they don't even they can be a combination, or they can be like whatever you want. Like they can be all of one class. So it's like that's not even like. But then like going from Final Fantasy 1, not all those classes are available in every version of the game. I don't believe. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm not because I don't think there's a thief equivalent in every game. But
So, what was a role playing game that you played that it forced you to play a class that you usually never played, and you ended up enjoying it?
I don't think that's ever happened, dude. Like, because usually it's like, it, okay, the two times that has happened is like is only because Bethesda is weird, and they do their like class making system weird. But then I didn't enjoy the game per se because I only played it for like a bit and I never finished it, because, I mean that's which is like an unfair that's an unfair like thing to say about at least Elder Scrolls, because Elder Scrolls I probably would have liked. I was playing on somebody else's Xbox, and then I didn't get to finish it. But then effing Oblivion, like it, I was playing it, and then like I played the tutorial, and like the game gives you your class based off how you play the tutorial, and it made me like a monk or something. I can't remember. It just made me like a character that I didn't want to play, and I was like, this is dumb. So I was like, it was like it's like it's weird in that way. But in Elder Scrolls or yeah, Elder Scrolls, the one before Oblivion, because I think it's, oh my gosh, because Skyrim is 5, and then Oblivion is 4, and then Elder Scrolls 3, or the third one, whatever the effing third one's called. That one you do like a Q&A, and it's like a personality test, and it's like, oh, based on your test, here's your class. And so the first one I got was Witch Hunter, but then like when I was playing, the console became unplugged, so I didn't get to actually continue that gameplay, and it didn't save, so like that sucked. But I thought that was a cool system, and I don't usually play like I said, I don't usually play like Magic whatever, so it's like that would have been neat to try out. But that has not really, I don't think, ever happened, because usually like you choose what you're like when you're choosing, you're like, oh, this looks cool, or this seems cool, or just like the thing with like modern Western RPGs, um, is like you get to like just make your character, and then you pick if okay, that's the man. Okay, see, but if you just like totally like uncorked a giant can of worms when you asked that
I blew
question.
your
No,
mind.
you didn't. You didn't blow my mind at all.
Open up a can of Tekken juice, 100% full of vitamin celestial juices.
Oh my gosh.
Drink it
But like
down.
effing but like yeah, like the modern the modern system of like role playing games, when you're playing Western ones anyway, is like you make your character and then you select a class, but then your class isn't like rigid, of like you can only do like whatever. It's like it depends on the game too, because it's like to take Mass Effect for example, because I've played like thousands of hours of that game. You know, I played all of those classes, but like I started out as a Vanguard, but like that was just because like the like the description and stuff. So it's like I don't know. To answer your question, I don't think there is a game where it's like I started playing as a class I didn't want to be, because that's kind of like not the objective when you're from both sides of that coin of like you're both the person making the game of like, oh, how do we get people to like play this game and like have fun with it, and like if you're playing a game and you want to have a fun time, you're not going to pick a class that you don't want to play as for like a long time. So it's like I don't think there's a game like that where I picked a class and I was like, I don't like this class, or like, oh wait, actually I have thought of one. But there's also the example of like where you don't get to pick your class like until you're like way far into the game, because Knights of the Republic 2 does that. But that's not the game I'm talking about. But the game I'm talking about is Astria Ascending. That game is not that good. I mean, it's not bad. It was just okay. It doesn't do a good job of like telling you like what these the classes do and stuff. And so I had like one of the, well, I would say this is kind of a cop out answer though, because you have a party in that game, and so only one of the characters I had like made them a class that I was like, ooh, I shouldn't have did that. But then later on, you get to like have a class specification and like go deeper into like whatever. But then I couldn't save it. I was like, even the more better class for this class is trash. And I was like, I have a completely useless character now. That's like the main character in the game. So thanks for effing that up, the developer of that game, because
Yeah, effers.
I was like, man, this character's supposed to be a tank, but their abilities are not
Tank
very,
worthy.
yeah, not really getting it done as far as the whole tank thing. So I was like, ugh. But I don't know, dude. It's like there's so many and that usually doesn't happen. So it's like I don't think there is an example of that, because it's like I usually, if I don't know what I'm gonna pick beforehand, there are certain playstyles I'd gravitate towards. So it's like effing, oh, this is that thing that I like, or that thing that's like that one thing, or like this seems like this is cool, so let me try that. So it's like, and after you play enough, games like that, you're like, oh, this is my kind of style I like to play as, which is why I know I don't like to play like wizards and mages and stuff that's like that needs MP or magic or like mana, because it's like then you're always restricted by like what can you do, and then like you can never, like, hypothetically, if you were like a powerful enough like mage or wizard, like where you should just be able to like cast like some like instant kill spell or something, and like be like, oh, you're dead, and it's just like, oh, just I have magic shooting out of my hands that just like magically melt people or something, but just that's never a thing. So it's like, yeah. So that's it. Yeah, I don't know. That's
That's you're all over the place.
well, this
Mister,
question is
you're all
like
over
this
the place.
question is such a like effing like
Effing effers.
that's not, like the question is such a like that's not how that works, Buff. That's like, so I'm trying to answer it, but it's like that's not usually how that works if you're jumping into a game of like, oh, I'm just going to pick a class and go see how it goes. It's like you usually have an idea of like what you want to play, and then if you don't, it's like you can always just re-roll a character. So it's not like you're stuck being the thing you hate. You can just pick something else. Because I did play a game where I did do that, but like I didn't like the thing. So it's like I was playing. Ugh, I don't remember the game. It's like a PS4 game. I was looking forward to it for a long time. It takes place on Mars. I see. Okay, this is the other thing about me is like sometimes I know the thing I'm talking about, but when I don't, I know like very specific details. Technomancer, that's it. I was playing Technomancer, and I started that game as a class I thought I would like. I did not like it, and I did not restart. So I was just like stuck with that class, and then I stopped playing. But I kind of want to go back one day and finish it, but it's like it wasn't the best game, and it was kind of but like that's an example of like a game where like I started as a class that I thought was going to be one way, and it didn't work out, and I just didn't like the game, and I didn't feel like restarting, because I was like I already stuck enough time into it. I was like, ew, this is not really worth redoing, but kind of maybe. But it was just, yeah, that game was not what I wanted it to be. So I was kind of bummed out about that. But the combat, like, yeah, it was like looked like it should have been cool, but like it just wasn't what I thought it would be. So that was unfortunate. But that, but yeah, I can't think of like very many examples of like, oh man, I really want to be this thing, and it's not in this game, so I'm gonna try this other thing. And it's gonna be, oh, it's actually like way more fun, or is just as fun as whatever. So yeah,
Way more funner.
I don't think
Techno.
I said way more fun than whatever. I didn't say way
You
more
said
funner.
funner.
I
You
didn't
said
say
funner.
I did not say funner.
You said
You
funner.
can go funner yourself if you thought I said funner.
Wow. Wow.
Okay,
That's
I looked it up. That game that Miasma Chronicles, the team that made that is the Mutant Year Zero team. That's the team. The
okay.
one with the animals in it that plays like an XCOM game.
Okay. So my next question to you is: so your big game of the half year is Final Fantasy 16.
The big game in the first half of the year, dude. Because Spider-Man 2 is supposed to be this year. We have a PlayStation showcase next week. I cannot wait because it's like, and we're on the road to E3. Well, E3's dead this year, but like we're on the road to summer game. Ugh, man.
All right.
Whatever.
So
We're on the road to like finding out what's in the second half of the year, and then then we'll finally find out, and things will be hopefully awesome.
okay. So what have you heard so far when it comes to the PlayStation?
I haven't heard
Uh,
anything.
you haven't heard not one thing.
I mean, going off of what we know, Spider-Man 2 is this year. Um, I just talked with Gamer, but I don't remember what we talked about, and he probably did mention something that's rumored, but it's like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like so far in PS5, they've only had like one first party game every year, and it's been good. So it's like that's just their output, and it's like that's fine. And it's like honestly, I don't care because I know like that's like I trust the brand, and it's like they do a good job, and it's like I'm not worried about it, so it's whatever. Like I'm not like, oh yeah, whatever. I'm not on the lookout or like keeping my ear to the ground for whispers of like rumors and crap because it's like it doesn't matter. It's like, dude, we'll know when it comes out when we know when it comes out, and then they'll give us release date. And then like last year was like last year was effing epic. We got, I mean, sure, Gran Turismo 7 was a botch job, whatever. Yeah, before they ruined it, it was decent. And then I think God of War and Horizon in the same year. That was pretty awesome. So it doesn't. It's like we're not always gonna get like the output of that, but it's like as long as we get like the one game year. And I think the year before that it was I keep reading that one game with the spaceship lady, the re something something, and then before that we had Ratchet, and then the year before that was launch year with Miles and Dead Souls. But yeah, first party PlayStation still kills it. So yeah. Nothing to worry
So
about. It's like they do not miss. They only bangers, dude. Like I like to say, only the effing bangers.
banging, yeah,
Banger after
yeah.
banger after banger after banger. Like
Do you want a nice tall glass of 100% Tekken? It's all bangers, no filler, all bangers. That's how it is.
like Seamus says, banger after banger after banger.
Yep.
But he says
Yep.
it better than I do.
Yeah, nice tall glass of 100% celestial juices. All no fillers, all bangers. Bangers.
Oh
Yeah, you're
man.
sick. You're sick.
Hey, I'm just saying, it's the truth, dude.
That's right.
I don't even remember like the last time that was a bad PlayStation game. That was first party. I
Everybody
mean that
loves
I
the
was looking
Tekken.
forward to anyway. So
That's right.
because it's like for me, it's like since PS3, since effing The Last of Us OG version, which was a
OG.
modern classic at the time, and I said so, and I'm being proven right. Um, it's been only effing hits, so it's like, yeah, dude, it's like I'm on the fun train, and it's the winning team, so I don't really care. Whereas Nintendo and Xbox, you can both go after yourselves. You know what you did. More so Nintendo, Xbox is just whatever. That's a whole other can of worms. It's like let's just try to buy everything and take it under our control.
Look at you. Look at you.
I'm just saying I had a Switch, dude, and I traded it in because I was like, you know what, I've outgrown you, Nintendo. I'm sorry, but you're all been working at this company for like 50 years, and you can't like get past that where you're not there's no progression of like where you're currently at and there never will be. You're all gonna like die, and then like you will not have like surpassed where you were at, and it's just like a sad thing to me that's the case. It's like, oh, we make games, but the story doesn't matter. It's just about gameplay mechanics. So whatever. I mean, are they a fun time? Will they make you feel anything besides happiness and joy? No. It's like sometimes I would like to feel other emotions on the Green Lantern spectrum. Like rage and wisdom and willpower and all that fun stuff. Fear and all that. Well, fear's not so fun, but I'm afraid of everything, so it's whatever. But besides just like the whole woohoo, hee, I'm Mario and I'm jumping around. Yee-hoo, aha, I'm gonna grab a star and a coin. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever.
Been there, done that. For like 30 years, I'm good. I don't need to do it ever again.
Well, that's good.
Oh, Buff. I have corrections I should have put at the front of the episode, but it's like I'll just save it for next time. I did say something about an episode of AEW, and I was like, I got someone's name wrong, but I'll just save it till next episode, whatever. I'll try to remember. Someone's like, just put it.
Well, you might as well get it out now.
Well, I said like a long time ago about like the House of Representatives. I was like, yeah, the GOP will never win the House back, and they totally did. So I was wrong on that one. And
Yeah,
then
you were.
I think I called Action Andretti Action Jackson, so I got his name wrong in like one of the episodes where we were talking about him in his matches, but whatever. So that's when he was a nobody though. Like we didn't we didn't know he was gonna like be like built up into like whatever, because that was just like the part when he got the chant of like let's go Jobber and he beat Jericho and everyone was like what just happened? That was so funny. Oh, I love AEW. It's so great. Oh my god.
That's right.
Oh, there's so much like silly this and that product. It's so good. I'll throw a fireball in your face because I'm a wizard. Yep.
I'm a wizard. That's right.
What's the next part of the episode, Buff?
So let's talk quickly about AEW, but most importantly, we're going to take a step back from that because I just realized you wanted to go poo-poo on the bloodline storyline on WWE and how much they have angered you.
What are you talking about? I didn't say that. I just said they ruined the best storyline they've had in a long time, and it's like it was an unforced error, and it's like, dude, why did you do that? Like, it's like you kind of ruined you. Yeah, they it's like, dude, why would you introduce a new title when you've got the effing undisputed
Because
title storyline going on? It's like now it doesn't mean anything. It's like Roman's gonna keep the belts, and if we lose, it doesn't matter anyway because guess what? There's a second title and someone else has it, and it's like guess what? You don't have all the titles if you effing don't have that title. So.
because they want to be the modern, they want Roman to be the modern champion, and they just are going to stretch it as far as they can. And now he doesn't have to defend it. He just shows up at the 4 major pay-per-views, defend the belt whenever against whoever.
Yeah, but
And
they ruined the storyline. They ruined the storyline. The storyline was nobody could beat Roman and nobody could get the titles. And until somebody does, it's like, oh, well, who's going to beat Roman and win the titles? Well, now it doesn't matter because you've got this, pass me down title that's not that title. And it's like, well, it's still a title, so technically, we do have another champion. See, I was actually starting to like thinking about this like seriously. I was like, it would make sense if they had like Gunther beat him because he's the Intercontinental title, and he's like the whole like his whole thing is like, oh, the wrestling match is sacred, blah blah blah. But it was just like I don't know. He's from NXT, seems to be new on the scene. I was like, this could. I think that could maybe happen. Like, but then it's like, yeah, now I don't care anymore because it's like, guess what? There's a new title, and it's not gonna be held by Roman. So it's like, guess what? Roman's titles mean even less now because there's a new title in town and it's up for grabs, and who doesn't have it? The head table doesn't have it unless he gets all three, which would be like a thing, but it's not going to be a thing. So whatever. So it's like, hey, guess what? Roman has a title, but you don't care anymore because now there's another title to care about. So
let me tell you a little something about a thing called the New World Order. All right, the New World Order was a great storyline. Hall and Nash came into WCW. Hogan joined them. Then they added on some flunkies that the WCW wrestlers could beat because you couldn't beat Hall, Nash, or Hogan because that would take away. You can't beat the bad boys just yet. And they made Sting the challenger to beat Hogan. And they didn't let Sting wrestle for a whole year. And he would just show up and hit people with baseball bats, but he would not wrestle. And went through the whole year till Starrcade. And then Starrcade happened, and Sting wrestled Hogan. And Hogan, knowing that if Sting beat him, that'd be it for him. And they get it, and he wouldn't be. His drawing power would caused interjected himself and said, "That doesn't work for me, brother," and then and therefore had to have a quick false finish. It doesn't work for me, brother. And therefore it just completely took away from Sting's crowning because there was a chance that Hogan had pinned him, right? And of course that just led to another pay-per-view in February where they had it. The thing is, that was, in theory, that should have been what started the whole decline of the NWO. Finally, Sting came along, beat Hogan, and then they would go down the path, and then NWO would lose, and then they'd break it up. But no, because the NWO was making so much money, and people were investing, and ratings were good, they kept it going. And they kept going for years upon years. And you had the black and white NWO, you had the red and black NWO, you had the all these different NWOs, you had LWO, you had all this stuff, and because they didn't have the foresight to end it and then continue on another storyline because they were making too much money. And that's the same thing about the bloodline. Triple H said, "We're telling a story." After Cody won, and that's the best part is Cody could have won these belts, and Roman could be sitting at home, and you'd be waiting, when's Roman coming back? There'd be more excitement about that because you knew he'd be coming back and doing something. But no, they had to give somebody a title, and Roman still has his, and he's only going to come up for a couple pay-per-views because that's what his contract says, because they want to have him beat records. And at the same time, they're watering down what was one of the better storylines that they have had. But you know something? Jey Uso is always the same guy he was from the very start of this whole storyline. Oh, can Jey Uso be trusted? A whole year has gone on, or a year or two have gone on, and lo and behold, can Jey Uso be trusted? They're running the same storyline over and over again, just with the little tweaks and twerps. And people who don't understand that are the people who don't truly understand. You're understanding it now, that it's the same storyline, and people are getting fed up with it. You're not the only one, Tekken. Everybody is starting to get in agreement that Cody should have won that belt at WrestleMania. They all thought that there'd be this great storyline happening afterwards, but it never happened. And now we got what we're dealing with now. So you make your bed. You had to make that decision. That take the belt off of Roman. I think it would have been fresher, but no. They want Roman to have the record for longest days. Well, guess what? Bruno Sammartino has the longest record for the longest reigning champion, and that's 7+ years. Roman still has another 5 years to be champion before he even does that. But of course, they're not doing it. He still has a couple more years before he beats Hogan, if you want to go that far. The next one up is Pedro Morales, who was a champion back in the 50s. And then it's Hogan. And that means another couple of years. Well, sure, go ahead. But, some people get bored with it. So, the best thing about wrestling is you can be upset, and that's good, but you just have to wait and see what happens. And you can poo-poo it till it happens, and I'm sure they'll be able to pull it out of their butts on the day he does beat them. But I think we are all in agreement. Cody should have beat Roman at WrestleMania. That would have made that Brock match at Puerto Rico even more exciting. You wouldn't have to have the stupid title, or you could have had that stupid title and had it on the other thing. Because here's my next question, and let's see if this makes sense. Roman's the champion. He's on SmackDown. He get drafted to SmackDown. They're having a title for the Raw champion, right? To be a champion of Raw. Yet you have SmackDown wrestlers wrestling for this title. Where's the sense in that, Tekken? They just had a draft where they sent wrestlers to SmackDown. But now you have SmackDown wrestlers wrestling for the Raw championship.
Well, that's what happens when your brand split doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. Makes you want to crack into a cold glass of celestial juices. Ice, iced tea, if you know what I mean.
I
And
mean,
T stands for Tekken.
that's the messed up part is like effing it's like they ruined that storyline, but then like now they can actually do something with the storyline with the title, but it's just like it's not gonna be as good. I mean, it's nice to have like storylines back that like matter with the title scene, but it's like because it's not gonna reach the heights of the bloodline, dude. That was so good. That was like such a good storyline. I'd like that like you didn't even care like what happened in the matches. It was all about like the drama. Like as far as like what happened like before and after the matches, it was just like like the part when like Sammy hit Roman with a chair. It was like that was just man. That was like dude. That was like top moment for me of just like watching WWE after I came back to watching it during quarantine. I was like, dude, that was like that like the part in like summer like Survivor Series when it was like the effing that team versus like the effing bloodline, and then like the whole like they they made Sammy kick Kevin Owens in the face with his haluva kick, and it's just like I mean, he's in too deep. How's he gonna get out of it? And it's like, oh, he didn't, and it's like, oh man, that was great. That was just that arc of story was just like, because it was like
My
they took it from like nothing and built it into like awesome, but then it's like, but now it's like ruined like everything else in WWE, like how they always do, because like they can never have nice things, but like because it was just cause like how it started was just like Sammy doing this stupid thing of like, oh, I'm just gonna walk up to Roman and be like, oh, I'm just the I'm the guy around here, and I acknowledge you, Roman. And just him being like annoying and stupid like is everybody else, but then they actually like went somewhere with it, and it's like, oh, that was nobody saw that coming. Like literally nobody saw that coming, and it just like it built into this thing that was just like huge, and I thought that was like magical, and just like I couldn't get enough of it. And then of course I'm like, I don't think they can land the plane, and sure enough, it's like, oh, here's another title, and it's like, yep, we just, and it's like, well, I guess this whole bloodline story doesn't mean anything anymore because yeah, what's the point if there's another title? But hey, at least we have the dollar menu title to have more storylines. So yay, I guess.
So here's my question: can you trust Jey Uso?
No, you can't trust them.
There you go.
That's
Because
gonna be
apparently,
that's gonna be the whole like thing of how the bloodline comes apart.
because Jey Uso.
Because I
That,
was I was watching, there was a YouTube video they put up on their channel that was like all the segments, because I hadn't seen them all, and there's like a part where he's like, JC doesn't care anything about what the tribal chief says during like one of the things, and then like the
yeah.
crowd reaction to it was like so great. And he's like,
Ooh,
oops. Well, he didn't say oops, but like it was just like a whole like the whole crowd reaction to it was great. So it's like
yeah,
that's been him the whole time. It was like that's his character. Like he doesn't care what Roman thinks. He's in it for himself.
yeah.
And so like you always knew like that was gonna be like that was like what was going to happen, because like that's it's kind of like it's like that's like the secondary storyline of like it's more Jay's story than it is anybody else's. It's like him getting revenge on Roman
That's right.
for when he had to like have that quit match when he was like choking out his brother.
Yep.
That was the
Well,
other thing. That was like it was such a good example of like such like a rare case in WWE when like they have like really good long term storytelling, and it just effing fell apart because it's like they just can't do it. It's like, but that's like what they do so good is like they have such a legacy of like old stuff, and they never take it and use it. It's just whatever, man. It's just disappointment. It makes me happy.
whatever, man.
It's just like, oh man, are they gonna? And nope, nope. And then the plane goes into a nosedive and just crashes in wherever, and yeah, that's what happens. Thanks WWE.
There you go. All right. Here's my question. AEW, does it still turn you crank?
Yeah. Why you answer that? Why are you asking?
Because you haven't been able to watch it live. You've been catching on your Sling. You've been trying to catch it on New Japan World since you got that. You don't watch the New Japan. Oh, that would be too much for you. I would, some. Can I challenge you to something?
Sure.
I want you to watch night one of the best of the Super Juniors. All right, it's on right now. It's been like probably night 8 now, but watch the first night of the best Super Juniors and tell me what you think.
Okay.
There you go. That's all. That's all I'm going to ask for. I'm a man who doesn't ask for too much. Take 3 hours out of your times and just watch the Super Juniors night
Wait, wait,
one.
wait, wait. Time out, time out, time out. How does it? Okay, I watched the Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay match, and I watched the Mercedes Monet the first match anyway with the EO. So it's like, how does that not count?
Oh, because you wanted to watch them. You wanted to watch Monet. Monet makes you horny. That's what Monet does. And we're already past the hour mark, so I can actually talk the way I usually talk. We're in our gaming online time, so this is I'm going to talk the way I want to talk now. But this is something that I want to see if you watching the Japanese style of junior wrestling interests you. And it's an English commentary, so you're not going to be lost in any of that. So it's a good chance for you to check out some of the acts and see what you and I want to and I will do a podcast with you to see what you think of this.
Okie dokie.
There you go. And I'm not saying you have to watch it tonight, but sometime in the near future, take some time out and watch it. And I think you'd be happy with it. That's my guess.
Oh, speaking of like international wrestling,
Yeah.
El Vikingo, dude, he's my new favorite.
Well,
Like
of course.
watching him in AEW, it was like watching. I mean, I'm not trying to say like he is the same way, but I'm just saying it reminded me of like watching cruiserweights in WCW when they were just like still the show. Like for
Yeah.
me anyway, because I thought it was like way better like style of wrestling. So when I was like watching him versus Kenny Omega and then like, against El Rush's brother, because I can't remember
Yeah.
his name. Um,
Yeah.
I was
Exactly.
like, dude, this is taking me back to when I used to watch F and Rey Mysterio on WCW. I thought that was awesome. I
Yeah.
was like, man, this is like watching Rey Mysterio in his prime. If he was like still, I mean, not to say anything bad about Rey Mysterio because he's like still awesome, but like this was like, dude, this is like someone even better than Rey Mysterio like at their peak. I was like, dude, I didn't even think that was possible. And like watching El Vikingo's like 2 matches, that's just 2 matches, and they're both like effing 7 stars, dude. 7 effing stars, like not even 5 stars, like both effing 7 stars. Like, dude, this is I can't. I hope he comes to AEW because like that. I would watch that crap like every week. I mean, not every week, but like because I can't watch it every week. But like if well, I guess I would watch it every week, but just not live. There we go.
There you go.
Because that Kenny Omega match, dude, that was like effing like epic. And then like he had like another flipping like awesome match, and I was like, dude, that was man. I can't get enough of this dude. I can't get enough of this dude's matches. They're so good. They're so good. Like it's like man, it's like yeah, it's like it made me think back of like if like back when WCW like had like cruiserweights and then like how when like WWE bought them and didn't do anything with it. It's like just like that style kind of just it didn't go away. It's just like it went off TV and like you never got to see it. So it's like lucha style is still like existing. It's just not the mainstream. So it's it's cool to see it like man that's or just like it's cool to like think of like it stayed on an evolutionary track, and then like even though you haven't seen it like whenever, if you see it when you see it again and like the way it is now, and it's like better if not just as good, it's like holy crap, it's like it still gets me. It's still like it's like watching it now. I still have the same reaction of like oh it's still awesome like I did back in the day. So that's pretty cool.
Perfect. Well, that's good. But my final question to you, and I think you might have an answer to this. Can you trust Jey Uso?
I already answered that question, both.
There you go. I know. I think you'll like the best Super Juniors. I'm not going to say they're like the cruiserweights, but there is some high flyers in that show. So I think you'll enjoy that. All right, good sir. Well, if you're good, I'm good. You want to shut her down for the night,
Um,
or do you have a question for me?
I mean, I don't.
There you go. I know you want to keep talking all night. I know, I know, I know. We've opened up that can of Tekken juice and you're just drinking it down. But
How did it feel to betray me on Fall Guys by throwing a bomb in my back and
first of
backstab
all,
me with a bomb?
I didn't want to do it. I feel bad that it happened. So if I actually betrayed you, I'd be laughing and giggling and saying, "Hey, if it came down to you and me, and it was but I tell you, buddy, you're getting blown up because this is Tekken's world. I mean, this is my world, and you're just living in it. Drink my juice. Drink my juice. Drink it down." So, yeah, but I'm not like that. So I felt bad that you blew up and you fell off because Lord knows I would rather fight you to the death than have that happen. But unfortunately, I threw a bomb. The guy got out of the way, and it was just friendly fire. Do I want to see? Would I do that again? No, no. I would just not even throw a bomb. I would just let you fight Mister Sunglasses until they blow up, and then I can go and get on with life, and then you and I can face it off. That's good. That's all. And I'll remember it for next time in 3 years when that one rare moment happens again that we're all by ourselves. So that's okay. All right, you crazy animal. Sign us out, and I will. And I can go to bed because I'm a tired man.
All right, well that is it for this episode of Taking and Buff Save the Universe. So until you see or hear from us again, the universe has been saved by the power of our friendship. I don't know how our intro outro is supposed to go. It's We don't do this often enough, so it's not in my brain. But I'm pretty sure
It is.
that's
You nailed it. You nailed it.
pretty sure that's how it goes. But yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, until you see or hear from us again, that is it for this episode. And like I said, the universe has been saved by the power of our friendship.
And Tekken juice.